Hi, this is Shira Rubinoff. Welcome to Insights in Tech. I'm here with Joseph. Joseph, thank you for joining us here today. Please introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Hey, Shira. Good morning. And first of all, happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to you.
I'm Joseph. I was born and raised in Austria. I've been living in Southern California and Santa Monica now for 9 years. My background is in digital marketing and business development. I've launched a bunch of different businesses around the world over the last 23 years. And more recently, for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been in the crowdfunding and blockchain space, where I met my business partner along Goren, and we launched together a conference called Crowd Invest Summit, which later turned into Crypto Invest Summit and is now called LA Blockchain Summit, which is essentially a large annual conference at the LA Convention Center, where we invite all the friends and people we want to network with, investors and startups, and we see a lot of a very early stage deal flow that has kind of enticed us to build a venture studio and fund on top of it, which we raised around for last year. And Tim Draper came on board. He took 90% of the round, became an equal partner. We rebranded to Draper, Goren, Holm, and we now are still actively investing and looking for great teams that have great ideas in the blockchain space.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for joining us here today.
It's
So,
my pleasure.
wonderful. So, Joseph, in the last little while, we've seen blockchain being embraced and utilized in many sectors, such as healthcare, banking, cybersecurity, and supply chain, to name a few. And as we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has literally turned our world upside down. And when it comes to blockchain, we see compelling use cases for it, certainly during the crisis like COVID-19. For example, having the ability to have a single point to track medications and medical supplies. And COVID-19 has been generating a huge number of data points, which has been helping us meet one of our critical needs right now, which is the ability to trust and be able to share and distribute this data. Whether one is working at a hospital or first responder or government entity, or even a supplier who may be looking to distribute goods such as medical equipment, such as masks and gloves. So Joseph, can you please share with us from your perspective how blockchain can take this a step further and be utilized to help the world in a greater good, certainly when it comes to pandemic such as COVID-19?
Yeah, totally. And it's very interesting because a few years ago at a dinner party, I will probably be reluctant to say that I work in blockchain and Bitcoin and distributed ledger technologies, because people would look at you and go like, oh, so you're one of these crazy people, right? But more recently, blockchain has really gone mainstream, and I think that pandemics like COVID-19 just lay bare the flaws in, for example, the banking system, how they were unable to timely distribute the government assistance, and how the so-called legacy, the system got clogged up and wasn't able to scale. Something that on a blockchain would have been very easy and very smooth to do. People would just install some kind of wallet that the government provides. They would get their money onto that wallet and could go straight to any grocery store to buy food. So I think that would be, number one application in a situation like this is distributing funds to the people who need it the most. And blockchain is just a much, much better way of doing this.
Yeah, that's a great example. And can you talk a little bit further to that example of what has gone wrong thus far, and a little bit more detail of how how it could be solved using this blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, sticking with the same example
Yeah.
of distributing money to people who need it, and especially when you look at the PPP loans and how the Small Business Administration was unable to fulfill those requests, and how the whole system broke down because it was coded 20, 30 years ago, and they found it very difficult to even find programmers who could help them update the systems and keep them running.
COBOL
It's obvious.
coders, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just that I don't think that people thought about it this way.
Right.
And the other side of the equation is the government is printing money left and right. Our fiat currency is being debased on a daily basis. The $1,000 that you had 6 months ago is not the same $1,000 you have today. and it certainly won't be the same $1,000 in 6 months or 12 months from now. And I think people are starting to catch on to this. You know, Bitcoin is just much, much better money. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. It's completely independent from any government influence. No Federal Reserve can go, hey, let's print another billion Bitcoins and debase the currency. You know, it's based on math and code. And I personally, and I think many other people at this point, trust math and code a lot more than the government.
I certainly see that perspective, definitely. So, Joseph, what other ways do you see blockchain now being embraced by the community in any great specific ways that is really taking the forefront here in our community?
Yeah. So another way, and I'm sticking to money because fintech is our sweet spot. That's what we invest in, and that's my background coming from the equity crowdfunding space. One of our portfolio companies, DMM, has launched a token on the Ethereum blockchain that's a real-world asset income-generating token that you can buy into, and it earns you 6.25% annually. Now, if you compare that with negative interest rates in the market or close to zero at any bank and the fees they charge you, that's just a massive step in the right direction where people can now put their money to work again, as opposed to having it debased by the government and then the banks taking out fees and just losing money left and right. That's just another one of the examples where blockchain is just so superior over fiat currencies.
I think that's an important point of putting your money to work for you. And I think some people didn't realize that that actually can be done in this space. When it comes to cybersecurity and blockchain, how do you feel that blockchain could actually aid in cybersecurity?
Oh, in a big way, because a blockchain is a trustless network, right? There's not a central point of failure. There's not one company that keeps all my data, and if some hacker gets into it, it's all gone. Right? It's obviously, without going into too many details of how blockchain works, but thousands of millions of computers in the network verify each block. So it's very, very difficult for someone to break into it. The Bitcoin blockchain, for example, has to date never been hacked. It has never been down. Every time you hear about someone losing their Bitcoin, it's someone essentially losing their keys. You know, that's like leaving your car keys on the table somewhere and someone taking your car. That's not the car's fault.
That's a whole other conversation about storage of wallets, correct?
Yes, I know, but it all kind of ties into cybersecurity. So as long as you maintain your keys well, your money is secure and it cannot be stolen by anyone.
Certainly, and that pivots back to knowing your data, where it is, where it's stored, who has access to it. And I think, as you mentioned, certainly that blockchain really adds to the whole cybersecurity realm of having secure data. As we move forward in the future of work, where do you see blockchain really exploding in a way that people haven't really embraced it yet?
I think one of the biggest sectors where blockchain still has to show its full potential is healthcare. I feel like putting healthcare records on the blockchain, which is, it's another set of very sensitive data that you don't want to live on a centralized storage where it can be hacked and stolen. We're probably 5 to 10 years away from that. That's simply because those are massive legacy systems that where the government is heavily involved, heavily regulated, and it will take a long time for the public also to feel comfortable with the idea of putting the healthcare records on the blockchain. Because there's just still a big gap in knowledge and technology, but we will get there eventually, and I feel like that's one of the big applications in the future.
It's so interesting you say that. It's people are readily give over their healthcare information. They go to a doctor's office, wherever they go, they have to give, specific records when they need some health treatment. And those entities aren't secure at all. You go into any doctor's office and break through and grab their healthcare data, but putting their records in a way in the healthcare space on the blockchain is exponentially more secure than any other way they've been doing healthcare thus far. So I do agree with you that that is the way of the future and the future of work. Well, Josef, thank you very much for your input. And is there any last words you want to leave our audience with about blockchain where you feel very passionate about that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So Alon and I were really big on building the community and educating people on blockchain and its potential. So we host LA Blockchain Summit once a year. This year in October will be the first time that we have to take it virtually and put the whole conference online, because the convention center can still not tell us whether or not we'll be able to host in-person events. But if you go to lablockchainsummit.com/free, you will not only get a free ticket to the conference, but in an effort to promote mass adoption of Bitcoin, our firm, Draper, Goren, Holm, is giving away $100 in free Bitcoin to anyone who attends the conference online. And you will get it straight to your wallet. You can use it for anything you like. You can put it into DMM and get 6.25%. You can spend it. You can just hold on to it. But that's what we're doing to spread mass adoption, and I invite everyone to come and join us.
Well, that's wonderful. And I suggest people go quickly. As Bitcoin is rising, the $100 will be more meaningful the quicker you sign up, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Although I have to say that you will get the $100 in Bitcoin as you attend the conference. So it's not instant. So it will be
Okay.
whatever the rate is in October.
Excellent. Well, Josef, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me, Shira. Have a great day.
You too.